We are ready.
Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك أستغيث أصلح لي شأني كله ولا تكلني إلى نفسي طرفة عين يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. Thank you all for coming today. Inshallah, we're starting the 14th word on page 177 from the words. It's a new word, and I am very happy to be talking to you or with you about it. It's very interesting, and I hope you guys can find something interesting in it and share your thoughts or feelings or questions or reflections. So it starts with a verse. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. Alif Lam Mim. Alif Lam Ra. This is a book with verses fundamental of established meaning, further explained in detail from one all-wise and well acquainted with all things. This is verse from chapter 11, verse number 1. In order to ascend to some of the elevated truths of the all-wise Quran and of hadiths, which are the true expounder of the Quran, we shall point out a number of comparisons of those truths, which are like steps to assist hearts deficient in submission and obedience. Let's notice here how he used the word hearts deficient in submission and obedience. I wonder why he uses the heart instead of anything else. And shall explain in the conclusion an object lesson and a mystery concerning divine favor or favor. Since from among those truths, comparisons of the resurrection and the day of judgment have been mentioned in the 10th word and in its 9th truth in particular, there is no need to repeat them. Here we shall mention only 5 matters as examples of the other truths. So again, the topic for today in the author's words are about a number of comparisons of truths which are like steps to assess hearts deficient in submission and obedience, and talking about divine favor. Anything so far? For me, I'm so curious to find out or understand more about this heart deficiency when it comes to submission and obedience. I'm wondering what submission and obedience really mean, and what exactly is divine favor. Any questions? What questions are you are crossing your mind right now, or what do you think we're going to be talking about? Okay.
So my mic is, I cannot raise my hand.
You cannot close your mic. Okay.
No,
you can go ahead and.
No. When I unmute myself, it means I'm raising my hand.
Okay.
So here I am unmuted.
The floor is.
So I'm saying, can I speak? When I unmute myself, it means I am a host. I cannot raise my hand. So when I unmute myself, it means I am raising my hand. So shall I speak now, for example? I am unmuted.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So first, I would like to go on this verse because while we are studying the following pages, the following pages will be an explanation, commentary on this verse. This is the introductory verse. It means main principle is stated in this verse. So this verse says, Elif Lam Ra. Anyway, these are the letters. Just draw our attention, and I mean the letters that in themselves don't have the meaning, but because of the location of the letters at the beginning of the section, the scholars gave many meanings to it, try to understand what it can be. So it is a long discussion, and it is not for the moment our concern. So this is a book with verses fundamental of established meaning. So everything is fundamental, is established here. Their meaning all are established here. So what we understand from these established meanings, which are mentioned in the Quran or in the verses of the Quran, the following phrase of the verse says, further explained in detail from one all wise and well acquainted with all things. Now, by definition, we have to know two principles in order to understand when the verses of the Quran in general, especially the verses as we are going to study today, are really taken as a dispute of the legitimacy of the meaning of the verses. So the author is taking these verses, which are disputed. Well, most of the people say these verses don't make sense. So the author is going to study these senses, these verses, as examples of these verses, but the more common ones. That is why I say these are hard to understand verses, but it is according to this principle introduced to us in this verse that we are studying. This is a book with verses fundamental of established meaning, further explained in detail. Where and by whom? From one all-wise and well-equipped with all things. So, فُصِّلَتْ مِنْ لَدُنْهُ حَكِيمٌ خَبِيرٌ. The Hakim, the all-wise one, and Khabir, the one who is aware of everything. This is the definition of the Quran. Quran says, I am the speech of the creator of this universe. If you are the speech of the creator of the universe, if the speaker in the Quran is the Rabbul Alameen, the Lord of the whole world, owner of whole world, then he must know what he is doing. How do we know? The universe says the one who made me knows what he is doing. Because if he didn't know what he is doing, the universe cannot be as it is, so perfectly adjusted, everything, arranged, everything under control of its creator. And he is aware of everything, and he is very wise. He knows what he is doing when he speaks in a verse, which makes not at first glance doesn't make sense. Then we should take this verse and saying that, look, further explained in detail in other parts of the Quran. So we cannot really read any verse of the Quran by itself, independent of the whole content of the Quran. This is number one when we have a problem, a kind of problem in understanding the verses of the Quran. We have to say, of course, I should see general explanations in other verses in order to understand this particular verse within the context of the whole Quran. In order to be able to do this, these are from time to time we jump into this subject, how to read the Quran. What are the principles of the reading the Quran or speech of the Creator? If whatever the text we are reading is the speech of the Creator, it must be clear, understandable, and it must make sense, definitely for me, so that I can comfortably confirm it. If it is difficult for me, as the Quran says, I'm very clear in my message is very clear. You can easily understand it. It must be so. But some verses put me in trouble. That is practical as well. We may say, oh, what does it mean here? It doesn't make sense. So this verse says, okay, be careful who is speaking. And we said it must be explained in other parts of the verse of the Quran. Yes, I have to know the whole picture of the Quran, but very fundamental principle is this. Maybe the first fundamental principle is this. We cannot read the Quran outside of its purpose. Who's speaking? My Creator is speaking. This is essential. Unfortunately, not only those people, a few people, very, very limited number of people have bad intention in order to really undermine the message of the Quran in the minds of the people. They are very few, but somehow influential people pay attention to them if they don't know what they are doing. But anyways, the majority of the people are innocent. They need to be explained. If we want to explain a verse which apparently may seem to be difficult to understand, we have to bear in mind, since this is the text, claims to be the speech of the Creator, what is the purpose that the Creator speaks to me? Why does he speak to me? We have to be well aware that the Creator has two ways of speech. We keep repeating this because it is very important. One is by creating, the other one is by verbal, oral speech, as I understand. Creation also is in front of me, and I'm giving the abilities, capacities to understand the creation, analyze it. It may take time, but it is possible. How it is created, what does it mean for me? These questions can be understood by approaching the creation, seeing or examining how the universe is coming into existence, how the things are designed, prepared, purposefully located in the whole order of the universe, and they are communicating with me. It means I am given the ability to understand them. They are created in such a way that they will made it possible for me to understand with my abilities. These connections are necessary to bear in mind. That is the speech of God in action form. The speech of God in verbal form must be a help for me to understand the purpose of existence of this universe, as far as the purpose of creation of the universe is concerned, explained in verbal form, so that as a human being, I am created with the ability to understand the speech. What is the purpose of being given the capacity to understand the speech? Is I have to expect a verbal explanation. For example, I see the universe is wonderful, very meaningful, cannot happen by itself. It cannot be accidentally established as it is now. Look at for example, of course, in close relationship, we are in touch with the beings in the universe, especially living beings, the plants, animals, human beings, etc. How perfectly they are arranged. And why? Why? I ask this question. Why am I here? Why this universe is so meaningful? What am I supposed to do? Say yes, the universe says everything is created, points to the perfect qualities of its creator. Yeah, it seems to be, I agree, but why? What am I going to do with it? And I have no answer. So it is perfectly created, and I established that there must be a creator, and this creator must be the source of existence of all these qualities that I can learn by investigating the universe, examining the way the things are coming into existence. But I don't know what am I going to do with it, since there must be a conscious creator, because the universe cannot be the product of an unconscious being. I don't know how conscious he is, but I am sure he must be conscious of what he is doing. Not like me, but universally demonstrated consciousness. It means absolute consciousness. Yeah, what am I supposed to do? I don't know. So the verbal speech comes and explains, look, I have done this in this way in order to introduce myself so that you can attribute your existence to me and you can communicate with me, and all your expectations, human expectations, that you can really relate it to me. It means you can trust on me, that you can understand I am all powerful, I can do, and you can understand all the feelings need to be satisfied perfectly, permanently. They are all given to me to you by me. So I am promising, by introducing yourself to you through my creation, so that you will understand that I only can satisfy your permanent satisfaction, your feelings of permanent satisfaction. This is described as ubudiyah, worshipful relationship with our Creator, with me and with my Creator, personal relationship. So far we understood that the universe is demonstration. Speech needs to explain how this universe needs to come into existence, and how can I explain the existence of the universe, and also what is the purpose in its existence. So the speech must be read to explain to me who is the creator of this universe, can be, and what is the purpose of the existence of the universe. Rather than, this is very fundamental now, we have to be alarmed here, how the universe works. Now, it is already, the universe is created in such a way that I can understand how it works. I shouldn't expect from the creator that he will tell me how the trees grow, how to make, for example, farming, how to do farming, and I don't know, for example, how do I eat? No, it is within me. How do I communicate with my friends? It is with me. I can comfortably understand this. So I should not read any part of the verses of the Quran, all Quran, to explain and help me understand how the universe works. So that, for example, I will learn how to make the computer and telephone by the disclosure of my creator saying that, now, if you do this and this and this and this, you can make the telephone. It is superfluous. Why is it? Because if I examine the universe, I will discover, although piece by piece, but I can make the computer. And I will know that the creator of the universe is provided all these facilities that I can make a telephone. If I need to speak to somebody immediately, that is the need now, there must be some way of satisfying this need to me in a limited way, etc., but at least within the creation of this universe. So I have to investigate. That is why those people who are called scientists, professional people, are trying to find out the secrets of the universe. They are not inventing anything new, but trying to find out what is already within the universe. So we have to thank them. They are trying, although we have to be careful, their interpretation, how they came into existence, that is personal interpretations. We don't care about it, but we use the computer they make, telephone they make, or the other gadgets, technological gadgets they make. We say, thank you for helping me, but I'm not going to buy into your interpretation as long as they don't make sense to me. Now, we have to make this distinction. So we should never, ever read the Quran in order to let me know, for example, it's a very misunderstood verse of the Quran at the same time that we have to be careful, that the Quran is teaching me how the fetus or the cell, that is human cell, the reproduction cell, sperm they call, I think so. So develops in the womb. Follow the animals, for example, after the conception happens, and stage by stage, it develops, for example, try in a way how it develops. You can learn it. You don't expect God to tell you this since you are able to do that. So if the verse tells how the fetus is located, or the cell is located in the womb of a man or woman, and after this conception, how it happens, I shouldn't really read this verse in order to understand, biology, for example. Whatever they call it, embryology or something like, I don't know the technical words, but biology, for example. No, the scientists who study biology can learn it much better than you and I. So that is my responsibility to look at the universe to understand how it works. But what I don't understand, the source of existence, I need guidance, and why this source of existence creates the universe. So I need extra guidance apart from the universe, under the witnessing of the universe, though, we should never forget this, apart from the universe, to teach me these things that I cannot learn from the universe. For example, very simple example, we keep repeating this example, by the way, excuse me, but it's a good example. I need permanent satisfactions for my feelings. But the universe says, no, there is no permanence in my existence. But my creator is this, must be the eternal one, absolute one, permanent one, and directs my attention to the creator and leaves it there. Whether I accept it or not, that's up to me. Now, after this stage, introducing the creator, I need to read the verses of the Quran. So what? For example, the Quran we will study here, with the first verse we will study, we haven't read yet. He created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. So I learned that the universe is created in 6 days. Which days? We will study that. Which days? After the days which are established long after the creation of the universe that I'm experiencing, which I call 24 hours. Oh, this is later on. What does it mean? So I am not going to read these verses that we are going to study, expecting that it is teaching me how many days the universe is created. No. You can go and study. You cannot use the day, the word day. As the concept that I developed as a result of the rotation of the earth on its around. That is later on creation, and that's my experience of it. And the day, the concept of day in the Quran, we will study, inshallah, refers to any period of anything. Periods, not suddenly and leave it. No, it's stages. We will study that. So I will take this number 6 as not a definite number, but various stages, something like that. We will study various stages that the universe went. It is under control, and the creator knows what he's doing. Creator knows from the beginning to the end which kind of stage should be followed. So it refers to God's absolute knowledge from the beginning to the end of the creation, which takes in stages, and his absolute knowledge encompasses everything, not only in spatial dimension, but also in the temporal time dimension, both of them. So, it says God knows what he's doing, although different stages are followed, but he knows everything in advance. That is what we should understand, because the purpose of the Quran is to teach me what is the source of existence of the Quran and why they have been created in this world. I made a mistake in my language. Sorry, in my sentence. What is the purpose of existence of the Quran? So still I'm repeating. The purpose of the existence of the universe and therefore human beings. And what am I supposed to do here with this purpose? It's a long introduction. I know I spoke a lot, but without bearing these principles of reading the Quran in mind, trying to understand the verses, especially the verses, in any verse, but at the same time, especially these verses that troubles people because they don't know how to read the Quran. The principles of the Quran are not known to them. They read the Quran as an ordinary book, speech of a wise man or something like that, knowledgeable man. They are definitely in trouble. They have to be in trouble. That's why I need to make this long introduction from my side. If you have anything else, as somebody raised his hand, I see, of course, moderator will take care of it. I am now stopping and let's stop bothering you anymore. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Agabe.
Assalamu alaikum. One quick detailed question. So it is said that like we need some principles in understanding speech and message of Quran, like independent. We cannot understand independent of the whole message of Quran, purpose of speech, who is speaking, to whom he is speaking, like the level of us, level of people, general people. So, and in the text, it says all-wise Quran and the Hadith. And in the original language of the text, it's like what I understood, as far as I understood from the original language of text, the author says like we are going to study Hadith, which are the true expounder of Quran, like some slight differences, or it's just a detail. We are gonna study Hadith and Quran both in this 14 word, because down below there I see like it started with the Quranic verses already. And do we also need like Hadith saying of messengers in order to understand the message of Quran, or just Hadith are just how to implement in our life? That was my question.
Go ahead, Brother.
I took it for granted that this question to everyone, but particularly to me. Yeah, so in order to benefit from the Hadith, again, if I speak longer than you expect, I apologize for it, but I had to speak a lot in this, somehow longer, to explain this problematic matter bothers most of the, especially those Muslims who claim to be very loyal to Islam. And they are mostly literalists. So this attitude also harms the message of God. It is very dangerous to do that. We have to define what is Hadith, sayings of the Prophet, and also actions of the Prophet in his relationship. What does it represent? It means, what does the Prophet represent? First of all, prophet has to explain the Quran in the form of a human being. But we see not really explanation of the Quran in the Hadith narration. Just some references. Some references. If there is an event that the prophet recites a verse related to it, and people took it some of the meanings of this verse may refer to the explanations of this event. But prophet is narrated at the same time that he recited the same verse within a completely different context in his practical life. Or we say, oh, this verse must have this meaning as well. Now, what does the prophet is doing there? It is not really making an interpretation of the words of the Quran as a commentator on the Quran, but it is representing the message of the Quran in the form of a human being. How the whole message of the Quran must be reflected, represented in the life of a human being. He is employed for this purpose. That is why we need a best example of practicing the message of the Quran in the life of the prophets. So we will try to understand the practical side of the message of the Quran, and by knowing all the narrations as much as possible, and then trying to make some sort of principles of life for myself by following the prophetic example, which is now not hadith, which is sunnah. Now the concept changed. Now, hadith is the document, sunnah to understand the way of the prophetic life and apply it to myself. So, hadith explains the Quran, where not as a commentary on the verses of the Quran, but how this message must be represented in human life. We are not aware of it mostly. Now, I'm not accusing anyone. Most of the wisdom or those people who love the prophet, which is right to do so, and admire his life, and not really understand, may not, we don't know, some people may, but the majority seems to be don't understand that life of the prophet is fulfilling the purpose of the speech of God in the life of a person. I think these definitions needs to be taken seriously. Write down. If you cannot write it, listen to the records or the YouTube records, and listen to it slowly by pausing, and write it down, and take it very seriously, because I took it very seriously because of this confusion, as if hadith explains the Quran as a commentary on the Quran. You cannot find such sources, and it is not expected to be so. Why? If the prophet says, this verse means this, that is the final explanation. Prophet is the perfect man, employed, educated, trained, prepared by the Creator. That is what the verse should be understood, and no one can dare try to understand the Quran within their own time and space context. So Quran would become a static speech, that is the most dangerous treatment to the Quran, making the most dynamic actions of the universe and the source of this universe, and putting the creator of this universe into a form which speaks in a static way. Impossible. All the qualities of the maker of this universe is continuously manifesting, refreshing, renewing their manifestation in a dynamic way. So his speech must be also understood in a dynamic way. So Quran's speech is continuously carries on. As far as I am a person who is, and you are also together, we are concerned, we are the people who received the message, who are receiving the message after 14 and a half centuries. I need to understand the Quran within the context of my time and space. So experts on the Quran must make it available for me. That's why we are reading the commentary on a person now. Commentary on a person who lived in 20th century. Why? Because we need the expertise. We see that this man is really spent all of his life to understand the Quran. So he's the expert, and I have to benefit from him, or any other scholar, if you like. For example, you say, no, this guy is not a good scholar. I have another scholar coming from, I don't know, India, Pakistan, or Egypt, whatever. And of course, read it, benefit from it. There is the Quran has been interpreted, tried to be understood by thousands of scholars. What, not thousands, I mean, maybe hundreds of thousands of scholars studying on it. That is why we have to make the distinction between hadiths explaining the Quran or sunnah of the Prophet. The way of life of the Prophet explains the Quran within the limitations of his time and space as an example how the Quranic message must be understood within this certain context, so you can take it as a template, as an example, expand it to your life, your time and space of living conditions, and apply it to yourself if you are somehow experts on this subject. Otherwise, follow the experts and learn from them as we go to schools and learn from our professors what we are going to learn. Why do we go to school to learn from the professor? Why do we need to read the books from the written by the experts? You don't have to reinvent the wheel again and again. They have already done this. So benefit from them. That's why the schooling system is wide, worldwide. Everybody needs education. Even if you become, if you want to become a very simple, I don't know, practical handyman, for example, you need to train for years with a person who has already learned this from the previous generations. You may take it one step ahead, as the people, scholars are doing. So we have to understand this kind of languages used in the commentaries on the Quran. Hadiths or is the explanation of the Quran. We have to know what we are talking about. Otherwise, as we will see in the text that we are going to study, there is no reference to the hadith narration. Why? Its context is different. We have to be careful. So Radba said, I think we need to move on and see. Okay, inshallah, I got it. Sorry, it was a private message. Yeah, from the moderator. So, but these are, yeah, I understand the moderator's concerns, but without establishing these principles, there is no need to read the following paragraphs. But inshallah, it is done now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for setting the foundation for the discussion. Okay, I think we can read the first example and then we can reflect on it, inshallah, today. So the first is, for example, in order to induce certainty about the verse, he created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. And the elevated truth it alludes to through the Quranic days, which consist of a long period of time, like perhaps 1,000 or 50,000 years, that man's world and that of the animals will last 6 days. We draw attention to the traveling worlds, transient universes, and passing cosmos, which the glorious Maker creates every day, every year, every century, each of which is like a day. It is as though these worlds are all guests like man. At the all-glorious One's command, each season the world is filled and emptied. Now, I think like what Brother Ali was just saying, like these verses offered some confusion as how to understand them or how to read them really. And the author is suggesting, okay, if you really want to be certain about this verse, just think about it. Think about how things are in creation all the time. And then I think the backup or like the argument for believing in this verse as well, or to help us believe in this verse, is the word days should not be treated like a day, like a 24 hours day. Instead of it could be treated differently. And I guess I liked how the author wasn't trying to convince us by coming up with a theory of how could it be possibly true that the heavens and the earth are created in 6 days. It's almost like he's just using pure logic and observation to trust the verse itself, or to trust the truthfulness of the verse. Like, I'm sure nobody can come up with an argument to say, oh yes, I know how the earth and the heavens were created in 6 days, or maybe, I'm not sure. But I just appreciated how he basically explained believing in this verse, or wanting to believe in this verse. I'm sure some of you might be still in question or have some reflections or thoughts about this particular verse, or how the verse is being explained or commented on by this author. You feel like we're ready? Okay, go ahead, Brother Adi.
I think the highlighted sentence explains the purpose of this verse. Don't you think so? Just when we say 6 stages, it means not static. The word is not static. It is dynamic. It is, that is why the Quran is, the author says, Quran is trying to draw attention to the traveling worlds, transient universes, passing cosmoses. And also it's a beautiful, beautiful expression here. The whole, these words are all guests like men, like me. So I come here, I know before I was here, my parents and other people were here and they passed away, and I will pass away as well. These verses are saying the universe, everything in the universe is a guest. At the end, universe itself will die like I do. There's an end. There's a limited number, 6 or 5, doesn't matter really. That really doesn't matter. May have some significance in it, but as far as the message is concerned, it is number 6 means any number, in fact. There's a beginning and there's an end. So 1 is the beginning, 6 is the end. 7, no. It means universe is going to die as I die. So remind me the transient nature of the universe. These are perfectly matching to the purpose of the Quran, purpose of the speech of my God. So I have to read this kind of verses as a principle, like this simple, seemingly simple explanation of the verse, which is difficult to understand, and people argued about it a lot. What does it mean, 6 days? We know that it has 13 billion years of life, etc., etc. These are nonsense as far as the purpose of the Quran is concerned. Inshallah, this is a very beautiful, simple explanation. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to double check my understanding. My understanding is that yes, there is a beginning and an end, but there's a consistent beginning and end. Like, right? Because the last sentence, it says each season the world is filled and emptied. It's as if like it's not like there's an absolute beginning point and an absolute end point. It's more like there is a beginning and end always happening. And just like you said, 6 is just a number and it could be any number. But the idea is just to see the consistency in the transience of things. Are we understanding it the same way?
I think what I meant to say, thank you, emphasizing on the importance of this point. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay.
Somebody has used his hand, I think, raising somebody.
Yeah, go ahead, Agape. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the explanation, Brother Ali, for the hadith, because it's gonna be confusing if, as he said, there is no hadith explanation later on. So we have to clarify this. And another thing, as Brother Ali said, we can, I think, also understand like a stage of creation, this verse. I think it also can be deciphered, this meaning, because although like every second, every minutes of the creation are like a new creation out of nothing, But what I understand from stage, like they are related to each other. It's not something like completely different. I think that's why we call it like a stage, although they are all different creation.
Thank you very much. Well, I think we have a pretty good foundation to start from the second point next time. I mean, I could read the verse just so that I leave you guys with the verse to think about, and then we can discuss it or read the commentary on the verse for the second point here today. So, for example, the verses, nor anything fresh or dry, but is inscribed in a record clear. That's chapter 11, verse 1. And of all things have we taken account in a clear book, from whom, sorry, that is verse 36, chapter 36, verse 12. From whom is not hidden the least little atom in the heavens or on earth, nor is there anything less than that, or greater, that it is in the record clear. That is verse 3 from chapter 34. So here we have 3 verses from 3 different chapters, but they all mention how everything is recorded. So the author work is kind of going to address that particular point. How is it that everything is recorded, and even before its creation, and how can we actually understand that and sort of accept that and be comfortable with that? Agabe, sorry, is that a new hand up, or is that a hand up and you already commented?
Yeah, it's a new one. Just a quick question. Like,
it's a new one. Okay.
I
Sure.
understood very well that the prophet's like exemplary life, like a template. I'm just curious, like, is there any like a study or scholar, did they study at all, try to understand Quran with the sayings of prophets?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the question.
Some hadith scholars, in history it happened, and there are not many though, but there are some certain people, scholars, try to relate the verses to the prophetic life and prophetic narrations. But when you study them, yes, the practical meaning of this verse is represented in a particular case by the prophet in this way, but we cannot really make a general statement saying that hadith is the commentary on the Quran, so we have to not say anything at all about the explanation of certain verses, the verses of the Quran, but refer it to the hadith. No one could do that so far. It is impossible. For example, all this, for example, God created the universe in 6 days. There is no related hadith there at all, as far as I know. So how do you understand it? And also, these are all misunderstanding of what the mission of the prophethood is. I mean, it sounds very religious to say that prophet explained everything. Oh man, what a strong belief, but baseless claim. This prophet performed in his life everything according to the teachings of the Quran. But it doesn't mean that the infinite information in the Quran, never-ending information, continues to renewed, refreshed information in the Quran is explained in the Hadith narration, so that I cannot say anything but go and read the Hadith books and find out the answer to it. Impossible. It means there is a misunderstanding from the very beginning about the definition of the mission of prophethood. We have to be extremely careful about this. What is the mission of the prophets? And why does God send prophets? So we talked about it lengthily, so I don't have to go back again. There is no need to go back again. You understood it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, and thank you everyone. Inshallah, I will leave us all with that question, perhaps even think about the verses. Basically, what question how can we approach these verses, or what should we be questioning about when we read these verses? Is really the question of, is there any proof that everything is recorded, really a fitting question or not? So thank you everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Allahumma la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim, wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.